One of the hottest topics in real estate today is, does crowdfunding apply? Crowdfunding is basically where people can pull their money together and put it in business, they can put it in real estate, they can put it towards deals. Bottom line is that we live in such a small world today with technology that people can come together and make deals happen that couldn't before. So today I'm going to answer the question, does crowdfunding apply only to business, or does it in fact apply also to the game of real estate? Because I'm going to share with you today one of my favorite methods for bringing people together to get amazing deals with 25% ROIs done that wouldn't have options otherwise. If you're earning a great ROI, that means you're getting a 5-to-1 leverage. It's real, it works, and it's a way for everybody to get in the game. I'm going to break down how we're doing it.
What we're doing here ain't just scary. It's about to be legendary.
Okay, so let me break it down. First of all, we have to start with what is crowdfunding. First of all, it's kind of like the word sounds. Crowds, groups of people come together and they each put in a certain amount of money, and collectively there's enough money for a venture to get underway. A lot of people are applying this to business ideas, and there's a lot of ways that people are using this technology. And today we're going to answer whether people are actually doing this in real estate. The reality is we are doing this in real estate because I am doing it. I'm going to break down how we're doing it. Typically when you buy real estate, let's say that you wanted to own a property. There are two components to doing that. Someone's got to put up money and someone's got to put up credit if you're going to buy a property with leverage. For example, let's say a property costs $250,000. Instead of writing a check for $250,000, you can go to the bank and say, bank, you put up 80% of the money, I'll put up 20% of the money, which means that you're only bringing 50 grand to the table instead of 250 grand to the table. Real estate is beautiful because if you're earning a great ROI, that means you're getting a 5-to-1 leverage. But if you're buying it to live in for yourself, the leverage is even higher. You can put down maybe 3% or 5%, and the bank will carry the rest of the loan. Still, there's a lot of people that want to get in the game, however, and they say, Kris, if I want to do that, I got to bring credit to the table, and either my credit isn't good enough, or I don't want to max out my debt to income ratio, or for whatever reason, maybe you're too young, maybe there's you've changed jobs. Banks have a number of reasons why you can't actually use your credit. Some of you are international and you want to buy real estate in the United States, and you say, well, that may not work either. So there is a type of crowdfunding that we do inside the United States. There's a way for us to actually bring people's money together and have enough all of a sudden to actually move banks out of the game and actually buy homes cash. So first of all, this is kind of exciting because $250,000 for one person might be a lot to bring to the table, but for a group of people, they can take it down. Now there is a problem, however, if you buy real estate cash. If you buy real estate cash, the ROI tends to go down because leverage brings your ROI up. The less money you bring in for that same amount of profits brings you a higher ROI. If you put all the cash down and get that same ROI, that profit is going to look smaller in proportion to what you put out, hence a smaller return on investment. So how do you work around that? Here's the beautiful thing about the way real estate works. You can literally have a group of people come in, buy a home cash, but then go back to the banks and say, we own this asset outright. Now we're going to ask you to give 60% of our money back, and we're not going to use anyone's personal credit. And banks will do that. It's called asset-based lending. And it's really easy to do when you're basically pulling money out of a project. So one of the things that I do with people is people find me on YouTube like this, they learn about all of the things that we're doing, they click my links below, they get with my team, and anytime you ever find that there's a credit hurdle, your credit's not developed, underdeveloped, maybe it's been hurt for some reason, maybe you live in Saudi Arabia, maybe you live in some other distant country, and the banks in America won't acknowledge your establishment of credit to actually buy the house. What we do in a situation like that is we can aggregate all this money, pull it together. We can technically go out there, we can buy these homes cash, and then we can go back to the banks and say, now we want you to give money back to us based on asset-based refinances. And what that does is that gives our money back to go and do it again. And it means at the end of the day that we're still able to get those 20, 25, 30% ROIs, but we're not necessarily beholden to the banks and playing their games. So this is one of the beautiful things that we've found in the game of real estate, is that crowdfunding, it's real, it works, and it's a way for everybody to get in the game. Now, if you're watching this and asking yourself, all right, what can I do with this information? There's a couple things that you can know. First of all, be educated and know that you and others can come together and put money together to make projects happen. Two, you can go out there and start Googling and finding groups that are doing this, crowdfunding in real estate, because it absolutely exists. Three, if you've been watching my channel and we've become buddies over the last little bit and you want to know what that would look like to actually be partnered with me on some real estate deals, I have a document that shows my last 4,000 projects. We're averaging on about $1 billion worth of real estate, around a 25% annual ROI. So if you compare that to like the stock market's 7% or a 401k, even a smaller percent, those institutions will let you double your money in maybe 15 years. We're doing it here every handful of years, just because of our experience and knowing what we're doing. And we've got ways for people to come together to make deals happen. So if you want to learn more about that, there's a link below. You can talk to members of our team and let them know that you're interested in getting in the game of real estate. And here's my commitment to everyone I work with. Whether you do have credit or you don't have workable credit, it never matters to me. I never allow credit or even money to get in the way of actually getting out there and building wealth. In fact, the first $1.6 million I made that produced my first six-figure residual income, I used less than $10,000 out of my pocket to make that happen, because I was a deal maker that would put the people with money and the people with credit together. I'd bring the deal and we would make magic happen. Now 15 years later, same thing, just doing it on a much bigger, wider scale with people all over the globe. So if you're asking, does this work in Zimbabwe, or does this work in Tokyo? I don't know the real estate market there, but I do know that you can come here and play the game with us, and bottom line is get those really amazing ROIs. If you want to learn more about that, you got to speak to a member of my team, and there's a link in the description below where you can actually learn about how to do that. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. If you liked it, smash the like button, make sure that you subscribe, and we will see you on tomorrow's video.